Green 18. Green 19.
Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I study my ass off. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny.
When we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
Good evening. Welcome to the Longballs, everybody. I'm the longest ball of them all. Joining me always, Seth, Jordan. We're missing the monumental pussy, JBONE. He didn't want to come on this week. I don't know why. Very uneventful week in the NFL, so we just kind of threw together a show. We're going to talk about some funny mascots, some crazy things some players said, some follies of the season, some funny turnovers, and then goofiest goobers, and then we're going to get into, you may have heard someone died on the field last night or is close to it in the ICU. But anyway, I guess we'll really get into it. So last night, big news. It may have officially happened. We may have had actually not the first player in the NFL to die on a field. It happened back in 1971. I believe his name was Chuck Hughes. And for the record, when that happened, they finished the game. So technically, this could be the second death. And he's not officially dead. DAMAR Hamlin. He's in Cincinnati Hospital. What sounds like to me on life support, they're saying, because they'll say his vitals are normal. It's like, yeah, but comas patients' vitals are normal. It sounds like he's on life support. And as soon as they pull the plug, he's probably gone. Which it's tragic. We all can agree it's tragedy. We get on here, we make jokes. We all know that it's anything. Like death is tragic if someone gets paralyzed on the field, which has happened a few times in the NFL. So when we make light of it, we're not like being disrespectful to the guy. It's just like, how do you approach tragedy? What do you do with it? Like, you sit around and just be somber, and it's like, and again, we're not Bills fans, and then B, we didn't know the guy, so it's like it's not that close to home. And the reason I bring all this up, because a lot of it, the stuff being talked about today, is not actually what happened on the field. It's the aftermath of people's reactions and what was said, and with social media, all of this backlash. And so the first question I think we should start with, and that's been very contentious amongst people, and including the Longballs, is, should the game have been continued?
So I don't think it should have been continued last night, strictly, if nothing else, from the standpoint of how long it took to get stuff sorted out, right? Once you go about an hour between like stopping the game and starting it back up, I think at that point you're risking health to the players. But I do think the NFL could have done a little bit better job about just clearly communicating the way forward. Like, even if you don't got to give us an answer, but maybe say, hey, at noon tomorrow, we'll issue a press release, we'll send out, tweet on social media. We'll provide an update on how this is going to, play out, what we're going to do with this game, how it's going to be handled, and what's going to happen the rest of the season. Because, again, all like Hawk said, any discussion we have, keep in mind that, our hearts go out to DAMAR Hamlin and his friend and family and teammates and stuff, right? There's still a person at the end of this, but this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that's got, and this was a huge game, right? It's huge for the playoffs, huge for gambling, and it was fantasy football championship with two high-powered offenses. And make no mistake about it, fantasy football drives a ton of interest in the NFL. A lot of these big contracts are written on the backs of, fantasy football fans and stuff, just driving the interest in the game. So I just feel like if there was anything where they dropped the ball, I think it was just the communication piece, because we still don't know how this is going to be handled. We know the game's not going to resume this week, but I don't know if that means they're going to shift the playoff schedule or what's going to happen. So I think that part just could have kind of helped alleviate some of the just additional anxiety around the situation, in addition to the medical situation with DAMAR Hamlin.
So I'm kind of the opposite on this of Hawk and Seth. I don't think they owe us anything, honestly. I just don't. This hasn't happened in our lifetimes. Like, I'm talking about the three of us. This has never happened. We've never had a situation where a team watched their team. I mean, he died on the field and they brought him back. Like, that's what happened. I don't feel like there was ever a chance they were going to play again last night. I do feel like they should have said something way sooner than they did. Because by the time, like Seth said, by the time we got any clarity on this, it was an hour after it had happened. I do feel like it's a little ridiculous. And the NFL's denying it, but dude, I hate Joe Buck with a fucking passion. I think the guy's a fucking worm, and there's just nothing about him I like. But he didn't just pull that. They've told the players they have 5 minutes to warm up and get ready for the game. He didn't just pull that out of nowhere. Somebody had to have fed that to him, because Joe Buck is a lot of things, but I don't think he's going to lie on live television that they told him that. I mean, I think that's another thing that we definitely need to give some respect to is Joe Buck and Troy Aikman did a really good job handling that situation. I mean, that's live fucking television that's happening, and there's however many million of people watching it, and I don't know, man. It's just it's a sad fucking deal. It sucks. They're doing exactly what I kind of thought they would. They're going to wait and see how this week plays out. If the Chiefs lose, and I mean, I guess everything's back up for grabs, but I highly doubt they play this game. I think we're going to get this week, and the Bills in Cincinnati are just going to play one less game than everyone else.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too.
Yeah, I read an article where the refs told both teams that they had 5 minutes to get warmed up, and then Zach Taylor, right? That's the Bengals coach.
Yep.
Zach Wilson couldn't have saved the day. It would have been quite the plot twist.
Yeah, that would have made it even weirder if Zach Wilson decided to call the game. I heard he walked over to Sean McDermott and was like, "Hey, man, like we don't have to play this game." So I heard it actually not being played was because the Bengals knew that Buffalo probably wouldn't be competitive. And look, again, it's sad. And everything I say is through the filter of it's sad, but there's also realities that come into play. And it's like, I don't know, you just kind of have to play the game, man. I don't know. I had a thought there and then I lost it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I just think that, oh yeah, I know what the thought was.
Oh, Jesus.
The game didn't need to be played last night, but not because someone died on the field, which is tragic. It shouldn't have been played last night because the players wouldn't have been able to be competitive.
Yeah.
Like I get it. There's no way Cincinnati probably could have.
I don't
probably.
Dude,
I don't know,
when
but
you
Buffalo,
looked at Cincinnati, they didn't look any better than the Buffalo players, dude.
But regardless,
the game would have been god awful if
it would have been. So I was fully for the game not being finished last night, but I think they should have said, "Look, guys, it's terrible, but there's a reality to be played." We're not talking about two teams. It doesn't matter, like with anything on the line. This could be arguably the biggest game of the regular season. The implications are the winner has home field or a shot at home field. And people, because on our text, we were talking like, it's not a big deal. Give them a tie. It's like, it is a huge deal to give Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs a bye and home field all through the playoffs in $1 billion industry. So for people saying, yeah, it's bigger than football, it's more than a game, it's like, well, you play football for the Super Bowl and you play the regular season for seeding to get into the playoffs. And for you to work your whole season and you kind of get gypped out of the first round bye that you could have had because of a tragedy, you got to weigh everything. It's not
if the two teams are agreeing to that, I don't see the problem. If the Bengals and Bills agree to that, I don't see the problem. If that's their decision that they don't want to play that game, then that's their decision.
But again, and I see your point, but we're talking about $1 billion industry, man. It's more than like the Bills Mafia. Like they have fans, and we were joking about the fantasy and stuff, but like there's a lot betting Vegas. There's billions of dollars in bets laid.
They refunded every single one of those bets.
Did they really?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like those companies, kudos to them, but that companies out literally could be $1 billion depending on how the bets went. But there's just so much on the line for them not to play the game at all. Like to just say we're not playing it. And again, we've seen people on the field paralyzed, not walking again, close to death. So it's not like this precedent hasn't been set. And honestly, it'd almost make more sense like if the hit was just so vicious. You saw this guy's head almost get knocked off his fucking neck and he dies. Even then you're like, okay. But it was it was a heart attack. It wasn't even like, it's like a NASCAR race. Like the wrecks you think
Like Dale Earnhardt's
people
wreck,
died in.
like nothing.
And then no, they walk out of it, and then you think they're just going to get out of the car, and then they die. It's like it's weird how it happened, and we can get into the theories about what happened and what.
Yeah, I think it would have. I think it actually would have been easier to wrap our heads around if it would have been just some big like bone crushing hit. I think the thing that was so eerie about it is like if he wouldn't have got hurt, that tackle would have been forgotten. 20 seconds after it happened, man. It was such a routine play, and dude just freaking drops like a sack of potatoes, man. It was just crazy.
And I truly think if this was not on national TV, if this was a 1:00 game on a regular Sunday and the same exact thing, same exact scenario, I just think they play out the game. I think because we live in a world that's a lot about optics now, and you're seeing it with the aftermath. Like everything's about optics. How'd it look? People are like, oh, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman handled it well. These guys handled it well because everything is optics. And I think they had no choice. It was national TV, high profile game. But again, I just think that if it's a regular 1:00 game, I just think they keep.
But how can you say that though? This has never fucking happened.
We've seen players get taken off on an ambulance before, dude.
We've never seen one die on the fucking field, Seth.
Obviously, we don't know what the players
never
were
seen
seeing.
it. We've never seen it. Dude, they surrounded him and they all said that he died on the fucking field. Like, they had to shock him back to life. Like, we have never seen this. And I don't think it would have mattered if it was a 1:00 game, a 3:00 game. There's still people that are watching that game. There's people in the stands that are watching that happen. Like, dude, those people are never going to forget that. And this is my other thing. Moving it later in this week would not have helped either. I think the Bills are going to play like shit on Sunday. I
wonder if they're going to play on Sunday, dude. If they can't play today or tomorrow, how can they play on Sunday?
They said there's no changes to the schedule for this week. So
no, but I get that, but I'm saying the Bills, like, how do they show up and play on Sunday, man?
They're going to play, and it ain't going to be fucking good. They're going to play like shit. It's just there's no fucking way they were playing this week. I don't know why anyone thought they were playing today or tomorrow. It just was not going to happen.
And we say died on the field, so died on the field, brought back, and all reports I hear indicate that he's pretty much dead. He's on life support. It's one of those things where like they have to make the choice of when they pull the plug.
He's down to 50% oxygen, though, is what I saw today. He was on 100% oxygen last night, and he's down to 50 now. So he is breathing somewhat on his own. 50% oxygen means you're kind of breathing on your own.
Okay.
But either way, it's not going to be good either way.
Yeah.
Even if he makes
some severe brain damage.
Yeah, it's not that dude's never playing football or having the life that he had before ever again.
And this is a morbid thought from my own head. It's not even a joke. It's actually a legit question. So I know it sounds jokey, but it's not. But do you think there's some morbid thinking going on within the Bills organization of like, let's not pull the plug till after the playoffs? I
don't think you could spin that. I don't.
But I'm never not going to. But I'm just saying, like,
if it ever got out, man, and I just think if it ever got out, like, the backlash would just be immense, man. Obviously, yeah, the thoughts got to cross your mind. Like, dude, we've had this freaking, dream season. The stars are aligning finally for us, and something like this happens, man. I don't know, dude. It's just like I said, the Bills, man. They're one of those star-crossed franchises. I think it's just. And it's insane that this happened, literally 2 weeks before they're about to wrap up the number 1 seed, and have the cleanest path to the Super Bowl that they've had in over 30 years.
Well, let me ask you this. If this happens in a playoff game or the Super Bowl, do they finish the game?
The precedent's been set now, man, that I think if it's a severe enough injury, it doesn't finish. If like that exact scenario happened in the AFC Championship, I don't know what happens, man. It's pretty crazy. I felt a little bit more, I guess, cynical about it. But kind of after hearing Jordan laid out, now I'm kind of like wavering a little bit. I don't know what happens, man. I think at that point you definitely you can't just like put it off. I think maybe you do see that scenario where you pick it back up on, a couple days later and just shift the whole playoff schedule.
Yeah. I at least want to bring up one thing. I'm not gonna. I just I'm with Seth. I agree. The precedent's been set now. I just feel like, well, hopefully we never see this again. First of all, let's start there. Like, obviously, none of us want to see this. Dude, we don't have to talk about everything that happened last night, but we got to talk about something that happened today. Bart Scott is a gigantic piece of shit.
That was
all
their
that.
mistake.
That's all
like,
that I was
we
gonna
know
get
you
that.
hate the Bengals. Yeah, like we get it, bro. You got this like super vendetta against the Bengals, but that was just ridiculous. That was the dumbest thing I ever heard.
If this dude dies, Bart Scott is basically saying T. Higgins killed him. I mean, that's basically what he said today with his comments. Like, dude, how do you
like?
have a
Yeah, he was like, you
fucking
intentionally ran through. That's how you're taught to run the ball, right? If you can't freaking juke somebody out or put a move on them, just put a hit on them,
run
right?
them
Like,
over.
yeah. And
Dude,
it wasn't
this
like
is
he,
still it's still fucking football, dude. Like, you know what you're going out there to do. Yeah, and Bart Scott, of all people to talk, like, the dude was a cheap shot artist when he played. Like, just fucking irritates me when shit like that happens, especially a guy.
He got paid
like,
to go on TV and say that.
Well, not just that. Like, Skip Bayless is one thing. Like, dude, everybody knows what you're getting from Skip Bayless. Like, he is there to fucking make a snarky remark and fucking make some headlines. Dude, Bart Scott's a former NFL player. That's fucking shitty for him to say that. Like, it's supposed to be a fraternity. They're supposed to be there for each other. That is not being there for one of your brothers in the NFL. Like, that's shitty.
Yeah, but so the difference between Skip and Bart, I think Bart Scott is more warranted the criticism than Skip, because Skip was just saying what a lot of people are thinking and what we just debated. So I think and I hate Skip Bayless. Trust me, I'm not fucking carrying any water for fucking Skip Bayless. Fucking hate the dude. I think he's dumb as fuck. I just think he's getting dragged for this tweet he was just stating a fact. Most of it's like fact that he was saying, and that's a problem today, man. People have a hard time dealing with facts. A lot of the uproar and screaming of people you hear that you give them facts and they're like, I hate you. I can't believe you said that. It's like, but I'm literally just giving you facts. Whereas at Bart Scott, that was nonsense. That was nonsense, stupid thing. And even if a player like took a cheap shot on the field and the guy died, like even then, like I wouldn't blame the guy. It's the speed. I don't mean cheap shot, but like a targeting, like those targeting penalties where the guy's not really trying to take the dude's head off. He's just coming at a speed. The receiver's coming at a speed, and it looks vicious. And there was really no ill intent. Even then, I wouldn't blame the guy who made the hit. This hit, it wasn't even the hit that killed him. So, like, you can't say it was a dumb thing to say. You're pretty much accusing a guy of like, hey, you're responsible for this dude's death on TV when it clearly wasn't true. However, again, I think we live in a climate where people's words get over fucking blown. Like Jordan was like, Bart Scott's the worst human being ever. I'm not disputing that. Maybe he is. But what if the dude's like a good, and I'm not saying Bart Scott is, what if he's a good dude his whole life? He gives to charity, does all the right things. And then he gets on TV and says, we should hold T. Higgins to account. Like, he's not a piece of shit. He just said a stupid thing. And I think a lot of times in this day and age, you become a sum of what you say. Like, people might not know who you are, and then you go viral because of a tweet. And then all of a sudden you're a terrible human being because you said that. It's like, no, man, it's one opinion. So I think a lot of it, and it's like, it's death. So people are on edge. I get it. You saw a dude die on TV. So everything, you want to be careful. But we live in a day and age where everything has to be buttoned up. You always have to say the right thing. You have to do the right thing all the way down the line, or you're summed up as a piece of shit. And I do the same thing. I'm not saying I don't do the same thing to people, but I don't think it's a healthy culture. And I think it makes it tough to talk about important things that you really need to talk about because people are so quick to getting offended. Like, sure, like, for instance, and I'll call JBONE out on it. I don't give a shit. He's not on the podcast tonight because he didn't like me and Seth's view on how we should talk about it on the show. And it's like, why? Because two people are going to get on and have a different opinion on you on something that doesn't even really matter in the grand scheme of your life. Like, I'm willing to come on here and talk about, even if all three of you were against me, I would come on here and state my case because we're all friends.
That'd be your dream, man.
We're just doing a fucking football podcast. We're all friends shooting the shit. Like, say what you mean. I mean, be respectful, but I don't think we ever step out of line here or step out of bounds or say anything ridiculous. And it's situations like this that you kind of see, like Skip Bayless. Shannon Sharp didn't come on undisputed today. No one has said if it's because of the tweet or if it was a scheduled time off. The timing's pretty
suspicious.
That
Suspect.
bridge has been burning for about a month, though. Like, I think that was already on its way out.
You can only have their dynamic on that show, even if they're friends. Like, you can only have that dynamic for so long before you're like, I can't fucking.
You got to mix it up, yeah,
dude. Shannon Sharp would literally kill that old man if he punched him in his face. Like, and I'm sure it's getting to a point where he wants to punch him in the face. When he told, like, when he was doing, I know we're getting off track here, but when he told Shannon Sharp when he said something about like Tom Brady's not playing well, and he's like, "You've never played on his level. You don't even know what you're talking about." and it's like, yeah, Shannon Sharp's a Hall of Famer, and Skip Bayless is just basically shitting on his career. At that point, I was like, "All right, dude. At some point, Shannon Sharp's gonna have enough of this, and it's gonna be over."
I feel like Shannon's in on the joke, though, dude. To me, Skip Bayless is a gimmick, man. I don't think he believes half the shit he says, man. I think he's just stirring the pot, dude, because he knows the one thing people like more than watching somebody they love is watching somebody they hate, right? They'll tune in just to see like what this idiot's going to say next.
I mean, Skip Bayless says the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl every year, and there's no way he actually believes that. So
exactly.
I say the Colts are going to win a lot. I'll say that. But this year I actually believed it.
Yeah, but
some years I don't.
You are the village idiot. We already know that. Like, there's no covering that up.
It's true. Well, and another thing that you're not allowed to say, and again, I'm not endorsing this view. This is just out there. And there's this thought that maybe the vaccine caused the dude to have a heart attack. There are montage upon montage of professional sports athletes dropping dead at an alarming rate. I read somewhere like in the last 38 years, like 1,100 athletes died on the field. And in the last 2 years, like 1,100. So we've had in the last 2 years as many that died in the last 38 years just collapsing and dying on the field. Again, I'm not saying that is it. I'm just saying there is something alarming going on, and you should be able to talk about it. And people are like, "Oh, you're bringing that up. Oh, it just now happened." It's like, motherfucker, every time somebody gets taken out in a mass shooting, 5 seconds after it's announced, everyone's on their social media being like, "This is why we need gun control." Everybody does that, regardless of what your view is on something. You always use the latest tragedy to affirm something that you believe. Everybody's guilty of that. And
yeah, I'm like I said, man, I don't obviously unless we see an autopsy report. I mean, hopefully we don't see that until we see like actual medical report. It's really way beyond any of us say exactly what happened to this guy. But yeah, I would say that like really depending on either side of the, political or, philosophical spectrum you're on, man, I think like anytime the thought police come out and just immediately try to silence one side or the other, I think that's, it's just not good for society as a whole.
Well, to me, and like I got on, because I wasn't watching the game, so I was relying on you guys. I wouldn't even have known it happened probably till this morning if you guys didn't tell me about it. But dude, I'm not even kidding you. 10 minutes later, I was on YouTube looking up stuff about this, and already a YouTube doctor, had posted something about why it wasn't the vaccine that killed him. And he explained the whole, like, if you get hit at the right time as your heart's recharging, it can happen. And it's like, the fact that you even think you have to make this video 10 minutes after it happens tells you that there's a reason that people think it. It's not just pulled out of nowhere. And they're on damage control. And I think that's the NFL will be on huge damage control if it does point to other. Because the explanation from the doctor is that, and tons of doctors have said this is a real diagnosis, is if you get hit in the chest hard as your heart is recharging, it can cause cardiac arrest, which is, and in the video, you see the guy get hit in the chest. But I'm saying if that was you figure you'd see it in the NFL way more often if that was truly, because I mean, that happens in the whole history of the NFL. We've never had a guy get tackled like that at the same time his heart's recharging. I don't know. Again, I don't claim to know what it is. I just think when you're trying to get to the truth of the matter in all things, not just football, not just this, everything should be able to be talked about and be on the table without this uproar, this social uproar. So
yeah, I agree, man. It's tough, and like Twitter going back and forth with 140 characters is really kind of hardly the place to have any kind of like healthy dialogue with any kind of like nuance and stuff, man. And the other thing about social media and stuff like that, where a lot of these conversations happen, is that people are hiding behind a keyboard. So you can say what you got to say and then just walk away from the conversation, right? You never got to sit there to even hear the other person's point of view, or even worse, you can just hit the block button on them and completely silence them. So I don't know. I worry about where we're going, long term with as people move more and more online as their primary means of communication. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how once all the kind of aftermath of this plays out over the next couple weeks and months.
I got a quick question. So if the Bengals would win that game against the Bills and the Chiefs lose next week, do the Bengals still have a shot at the number one at the bye, or is it just the Bills, if they win the game, have the shot?
No, if the Bengals win and the Chiefs lose.
Yeah, if the Bengals won out and the Chiefs lost, the Bengals would get the 1 seed.
See,
that's why the fact that they didn't say the game wouldn't be postponed. They said it wouldn't happen this week. To me, man, my guess is that, like Jordan mentioned earlier, I think they're going to play Week 18 as scheduled, and then if the Bills and the Bengals are still going to have any kind of significant impact, then I think they pick it up and finish out the game the week after. Because remember, you got that bye week between the NFC Championship, or between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. So you could slide the whole playoff schedule 1 week, and it wouldn't really cause too much of a headache, because the playoff schedule is not out yet anyway. So there aren't fans making travel plans or anything yet, and you could still keep the Super Bowl as scheduled.
That's true. Because I mean, again, the Chiefs, if they win, you still got to play the game, because the Bills have home field if they win out, right? So
the best thing that could happen would be for Josh McDaniels to show the true coaching genius he is and beat the Chiefs this week. If Josh McDaniels beats the Chiefs and the Bengals beat the Ravens, then the game suddenly becomes much less meaningful.
Yeah, I really don't think that the Chiefs are going to lose, and that's on Saturday, so we're going to know before Sunday anyway.
And who do the Bills have on Sunday?
The Patriots. And the Patriots have to win to get into the playoffs.
Or if the Bills lose to the Patriots, if the Bills lose to the Patriots, that makes it a moot point.
And then who do the Bengals have?
The Ravens.
The Ravens.
For the division
if the Bengals would have lost last night, then the Bengals and Ravens would be for the AFC North division title. So yeah, I mean, it could
so many things come into play then.
Yeah, as far as logistics go, like on the competitive side of it, this could not have happened in a worse game. Like if this happens in, again, Texans and Falcons, like, no offense, Jordan, like, you could totally just scrap it and say, screw it. We don't got to worry about finishing this game out.
Well, I mean, Nick Foles died on the field on Sunday, and the guy was celebrating his death, and they didn't call the game.
That was horrible, man. And then he doubled down on it. Did you see? So he celebrated. Like, I could have got past the Snow Angels on the field because yeah, whatever, dude. You celebrate a sack. You don't know the guy's hurt. But then he goes to the sidelines, hits the go to sleep symbol. And then I went back, because the dude was getting roasted on Twitter the next day. I went on his Twitter, and he posted a video basically of some comedian talking shit about like old school football, about how, like if they got hurt, like, we would celebrate. So he's like, I dig it, man. It's at least he's being true to himself, but definitely not a good look in 2023.
The video, and again, it's the Colts, but I still, I'm morbid, and there's some funny aspect of it is you just see Nick Foles just writhing in pain. You see the player doing the Snow Angels, and the training staff comes out to help Nick Foles, and they have to step over the guy doing the Snow Angels and kind of move, because he's just there, literally laying right beside Nick Foles, who he knows is writhing in pain, just taunting him.
I'm with Jeff Saturday, dude. Interim head coaches, they're all about the fight and just playing nasty because they don't really have any true accountability. He said he wishes the O linemen would have took matters into their own hands, man, and freaking, doled out some fucking street justice against that dude. But
little Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah, they were just sitting there fucking
step
watching.
on him.
Yeah, go curb stomp him, hit him with the people's elbow or something. While they're doing Snow Angels next to fucking poor Nick Foles.
Again, it's in bad taste, but it's the game, and I don't know. What do you think? Even though this wasn't really an on-field collision that caused the death, if he really does die and he's good, how do you think it changes the game moving forward? Like, what kind of rule change? I mean,
I mean, so this freak accident, how it happened, I don't think this is how like anybody envisioned it. But honestly, dude, with as big and fast and strong as the athletes are getting nowadays, I hate to say it, but I feel like this was bound to happen, right? With either some sort of just massive concussion or brainstem injury, man. Like it was only a matter of time. Because the players are just
Uh-oh.
We've lost Sailor. We've lost the Sailor.
Fuck. Oh, but he's still on there. I got to remove him. Hold on. We're having technical difficulties. I'll get there. I'll remove him. There we go. All right. 2-man overlay. Here we go. We'll get him back. We were talking about how did you think this affects the game moving forward? What do you think, Jordan? With someone dying on the field?
I mean, there's really no way to stop this. Like it's a freak accident. It absolutely sucks that it happened, but it's not something we see all the time. I just don't think there's any way to stop. I mean, if this happens again, then maybe they'll have to look at it. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Like 2-hand touch? Like I don't know how you would stop this.
Do you conceivably think, and I'm not saying in the near future, but like because I think someone's going to die on the field, and it's going to be from one of those hits where you see people just get destroyed. I think that's going to happen because there's just no way that it won't one day. So I could conceivably see, because we're becoming a pussified generation, and so I could potentially see the NFL going away. Jordan was just saying what he thought could be the future, and he doesn't think there's anything that could be done. And I'm saying that if someone dies on the field, like from a devastating hit where like, oh, fuck, the dude knocked his head off and he died. I could see that being away with the way the culture's going is that the NFL just goes defunct. And things like Tua, like that dude's getting his head knocked off every other game now. Like in the NFL, to hold your image, like how much longer can you let Tua back on a football field? Like 3 concussions in a season like that? Come on.
Something I was going to say before I got cut off there, my laptop died. I thought for a second the thought police might have, somehow caught wind of that phrase and pulled my connection. There's a movement out there, and Troy Aikman has actually been a big proponent of this. I know you guys are going to love this. Y'all always love my goofy ideas. But there's a movement out there to get rid of helmets in football, to have players stop wearing helmets because they think that's a big contributor to just the recklessness and the force of the hits out there, which I know me playing all through middle school and high school. Back then, I think they're a little bit safer now, but they used to teach you to like lead with your face mask when you tackle and stuff. It would slow down the game a little bit. You see a lot more arm tackles and stuff, but they, basically it would be like a restrictor plate, right? Because there's only so hard you're going to be able to go with no helmet. Now, maybe there's still those psychopaths out there that are still going balls to the wall and stuff. There might be some other minor rule changes on it, but there's definitely like a school of thought out there to go with no more helmets, and that would kind of just reduce some of the violence in the game.
I see your point, and to an extent, I say yes, but then you're always going to have that asshole who's fucking knocking someone's head off. Because you got to understand,
you still have injuries, but
you're leading with your shoulder. Like those shoulder pads, you take one of those to the temple, man, from like Darius Leonard or fucking Aaron Donald. Good luck, man.
Yeah, that's why I say there may be some other rule changes that would have to go along with it. I think if it like straight up went to we took that argument all the way to the fullest it could go, and it went to flag football, I don't think the appeal would be there, because sad to say, the violence is part of the appeal, right? That's something that's just different about football. Like any other sport, you could get some friends together and go play pickup basketball. You could even get like a baseball or softball game going. Once you're out of high school, dude, unless you're like a college athlete or something, it's kind of tough to go get fucking 21 of your best friends to go strap on the pads and helmet and go play tackle football. You know what I mean? That's kind of the difference that the NFL gives us.
And it's like the Roman Coliseum,
Yeah.
They're just people, they love to see fucking death. And it's like, as sad as this is, this dude gets injured. Next week, when the playoffs are going on, they'll have a moment of silence for the guy, and then no one cares.
Show goes on. Yeah.
Show goes on, and it's like it never happened. So that's the thing. It's like the people who in the moment are like, show's got to go on. They're like, you asshole. But then a week from now, people are like, show's got to go on. They're like, you're right. It's What's the
Yeah.
difference?
It's fucked up, man. It's kind of just one of those like ugly truths, man. Like life's gonna fucking keep going on, man.
There has already been talks of like especially with quarterbacks, like the minute they're in the grasp, they're automatically down. Like there is no more breaking out of a sack. Like there is no more Ben Roethlisberger shedding 2 tacklers.
Or just put flags on the quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Maybe just put flags on the quarterbacks for everybody else, because the quarterbacks are really in that defenseless spot, like standing still with their legs planted firm on the ground, getting rocked. You know.
Receivers have it the worst. I think if we see someone die on the field from a bad hit, it's going to be a receiver.
A receiver or a DB going in to make a hit or something, man. I think the other big thing is like O-linemen, dude. Like O-linemen are getting hit in the head every single play. Like they don't got the straight up, like, you know, the ones that rattle the fillings in your teeth, but they're still like, they're getting like the jabs like to the head like every single play of the game, you know?
Yeah, but we're a very stupid bunch. Like, I am an O lineman, so I can speak on this. Like, we're a very stupid bunch. Like, that's what we're there for. Like, we're not there to win beauty contests or anything like that. Like, that's just what we do. I mean,
have you guys seen some of the experimental helmets that a lot of players were using in training camp, where they got the big foam crown on top of the head? That could be something too that we see actually implemented in the games. I feel like, even though I don't know if any of that stuff would have helped the situation with DAMAR HAMLIN, I think we'll probably definitely see at least a couple measures to help improve player safety in the offseason. I don't think the NFL has really got any choice. I think they're going to have to, just to kind of keep some of the public at bay that's going to kind of be out for blood, to see what they do.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I mean, obviously you can't have shit happen like last night, and like we all have said, it's not something anyone prepares for. It's a freak accident, but I mean, that can't fucking happen. Like, dude, there's kids at that fucking game. Like, I mean, that's what you really have to think of. Kids.
How do you keep that from happening? It's not like in WWF when Owen Hart died. You know what I mean? Owen Hart died since 1999. WWF has never had anybody come down the rafters with that style entrance. There's no way you could eliminate.
WWE went on after Owen Hart died. They continued on the event, just for the record.
Again, we're not using Vince McMahon as the example here. Like, let's just go ahead and move past that.
And yeah, I think most people have said after the fact that was probably the bad call. But I don't see any way that you could eliminate what happened, that T. Higgins and DAMAR HAMLIN collision. I don't think that can be eliminated from the game. That was just straight up routine tackle. There was nothing dirty about it or anything.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not saying they can. Like, there's nothing nothing could have stopped that. Like, it just was one of those incidents that it happened, and there was nothing anybody could do to stop it.
Yeah, and again, the one saving grace for the NFL is that they don't have to explain why they're allowing violent hits like that to kill the guy, because, like I said, it was such a routine play, and the guy stood up. The guy didn't even feel pain. HAMLIN didn't feel any pain. He stood up, just right to his feet, then just down, you know? So it wasn't anything other than just his heart gave out for whatever reason. Yeah. So, I mean, and maybe he took it, but players have taken exponentially harder hits to the chest, straight to the chest, than that.
And bounced right back up. So we'll see. You know what's something eerie I want to point out real quick before we move on to some more pleasant topics of conversation. 3 of the scariest injuries we've seen the last 10 years or so in the NFL, Shazer's injury for the Steelers, Tua's concussion, and DAMAR HAMLIN last night, they all 3 took place inside the Bengals stadium. How crazy is that?
Oh, yeah.
All 3 of them happened on that same field. Fucking cursed, man.
Well, the Bengals want a new stadium. Maybe it's about time to get it.
I don't know, man. It's just insane that all 3 of those happened the same place.
I feel like, since we're talking about just like safety and stuff, I feel like the Tua thing really did set a precedent this year. The NFL has to pay attention to this shit, dude. Like, the fact that dude even played again after that game is borderline fucking irresponsible.
That was the Bills had a part in that too. You know, that was that Bills game was when we had the first concussion that he came back in and played the whole second half, man. Like,
it's just, dude, it's just irresponsible. Like, that shit cannot fucking happen. Like, I know in the 90s and stuff, like, dude, people get concussions and they'd walk right back out there. I get it. This is not the fucking 90s anymore, though. That's the fucking thing that the NFL has tried to make clear. Like, they don't want it to go back to the way it was. Like, and they shouldn't. Like, it is honestly surprising that someone did not die on the field when Ed Reed and Ray Lewis were coming across the middle and hitting people. Like,
yeah, fucking Steve Atwater. Yeah, man.
I mean, it is surprising. Like, dude, I mean, we've seen guys take hits 20 times harder than this, flip upside down, land on their heads. Like, I don't know, man.
But that's my point. And what I think it's going to get to the point in the NFL where there's got to be like a 3-strike you're out policy where it's like, dude, 3 concussions, like you can't play football anymore. I think eventually the NFL, because we're saying like in the 90s it was fine. It's like, well, now we're seeing everyone who played in the 90s die of like
head trauma.
Yeah, CTE. They're dying at 48 and
shit,
stuff,
you know,
man.
it's like we're just now seeing the effects of the play of all the stuff they allowed in the 90s.
I'm not trying to be morbid at all, but I'm surprised Steve Young doesn't have fucking scrambled eggs for fucking brains. Like, I don't know how that guy's still alive, honestly.
Well,
Yeah,
Aikman,
he took a lot of
Aikman,
concussions,
he's
dude.
a fucking
Aikman, too,
commentator.
yeah.
He's sharp.
Aikman retired off concussions.
Dude, didn't Steve Young have like 8 concussions in like a 7-year span, though?
Like 8 diagnosed, man. And like back, like you said, back in that days, dude, like dudes would get their bell rung, go hit the sniffing salts on the sideline and come right back in, man.
By diagnosed, that means he was completely out, concussed.
I mean, dude, I remember in high school games, dude, I would get my fucking bell. So I played quarterback and I'd get my bell rung and I would be like staying in the game, like walking the line of scrimmage and having to like really fucking focus like on what play we called. Like, okay, is this going to the left or the right? Like, yeah, so and that's just with a bunch of scrubs in Kentucky. So I can't imagine getting hit by these fucking like 280-pound linebackers and shit in the NFL, dude.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's the future of the game. Any last thoughts on old DAMAR HAMLIN and everything surrounding it?
Hope he pulls through, man. Hoping for, you know, hopefully it's a miracle and the Steed finds a way to live a normal life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really all I got. I hope the dude pulls through.
Yeah, of course, we all like that. We
horrible.
joke, but obviously nobody wants death on the football field. It's supposed to be a fun and escape for everybody. So get well. Hopefully everything works out. We'll just do a quick playoff update here. We got right now the Chiefs got the first round bye, which I don't think is going to stand. And that's you can't give Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs a bye. You just can't give it to them. They got to earn it. So
I mean, if they win this weekend, I seriously don't think the Bills are going to win on Sunday. I just don't.
They could play their best game ever, man.
You're right, they could, but I just don't see it. I really don't. I think their minds are going to be the furthest thing from football this weekend.
Yep. All right. Well, we got the Patriots. Number 7 would be going to Buffalo. Number 2. Third time they played it this year. We'd have the number 6 Ravens at the Bengals. Number 3 Bengals. So that could change also. And then we have the number 5 Chargers going to the 4 Jaguars. The team's still in contention in the AFC. Miami and Pittsburgh. So, who takes that number 7, Seth? Patriots?
Wait.
Dolphins,
I didn't
or
hear you
Steelers?
mention the Titans, man. Titans are still in it.
Not
And the
for wild
Titans.
card.
My bad.
We're talking about just the wild card. Yeah, the wild card.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots take advantage of this unfortunate situation and claw to win. They've actually been playing pretty decent last few weeks. They almost beat the Bengals a couple weeks back. I think the Patriots get in there and do what they got to do and handle their business and move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, I just don't think Buffalo's going to play well this weekend, and yeah, I think the Patriots are going to win that game. So I'll go Patriots as the last wild card team.
I'm gonna say Tiny Hands Pickett. Steps in there.
Dude, they're
I
playing
fucking
well,
hate
man.
Pittsburgh, like
They're scrappy, dude.
if I ever hear a Pittsburgh fan criticize Mike Tomlin, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
How is that dude not like okay? Belichick's obviously the best coach in the NFL. How is Tomlin not 2 or 3? I just don't.
They
get
are
it.
always good, man. Like
He's never had a losing season.
And he's with a franchise, so the Steelers, they're a family business, right? Like they're the people that own the Steelers aren't like, independently wealthy or anything. So they don't got these big pockets to dive in. That's why you never see the Steelers making big free agency splashes, man. They always just draft and develop their players. So he's kind of working with one hand tied behind his back and still crushing it, man. Never had a losing season, got, won one Super Bowl, made it to another one. Yeah, I agree, man. Dude's super underrated.
All right, I'm gonna go with Steelers. You two both got the Pats. We got the NFC. We got the Eagles.
Hold on. We got to discuss the AFC South. We gotta discuss Seth's fake team.
Who gives a fuck about the AFC South, man? We all know, Jack. We all know Tennessee's never winning another game until Seth goes and watches the Titans win at Lambeau. We know it. There's no point in discussing it. But I'll go ahead and chime in. I think the Jags win the game and win the division, and they're playing pretty well, man. I don't think if it stands that the Jags are facing the Chargers in the 4-5 game and it's in Jacksonville, I've seen the Chargers play. They only beat the Colts 23. They didn't look
Chargers could lay an egg
great
at any time. Yeah.
And I could totally see Jacksonville winning their first playoff game. If it's against the Chargers.
I agree. The Jaguars are definitely the better team than the Titans at this point in the season. But this is the biggest game that Jacksonville has played in at least 5 years. I don't even know if any of the players on the roster right now were on the team when they had that run to the AFC Championship back in 2017. And the Titans are battle tested, man. They've been in a lot of big games over the last few years, a lot of playoff runs. They're well rested because
I heard they're resting their starters this week for the playoffs.
No, they're well rested. You got Derrick Henry, who's made a career out of abusing the Jaguars, and he's coming in on basically 2 weeks rest, man. I think the Titans just find a way to fucking scrap it out and get into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do jack shit once they get there, but I think they win this game Saturday night and go to the playoffs.
I'm going to go Jaguars. I do think it's a little fucking alarming, though, for the Titans, if we're being serious, that they've already basically given up on their third-round pick as quarterback. Like,
he cannot throw the football, dude.
That's a problem. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now we know why the GM got fired, because that guy sucks. And I hope a Falcons fan listens to this, because all those idiots wanted us to draft Malik Willis in the second round. That dude is complete dog shit.
I think he's a long-term project, dude. Like, I think it was a mistake to ever rush him in. And they had said that when they drafted him, that this dude's super raw. Like, he needed like a couple years on the bench, like, learning and stuff. He was not ready to jump in at all this season. So there still might be a little glimmer of hope, but it did not look good.
How often, when you hear a quarterback's a long-term project, ends up being a starter, a successful starter in the league? The only quarterbacks who get drafted are the ones who normally step in year one, show they're good, and then they're good their careers. Very rarely. Tannehill, I guess you could use it as an example. They're like, okay, he was a project. It only took him fucking 8 years to get good. Then he gets to Tennessee, has 3 good years, and then he sucks again. So it's like, no.
I know Kaepernick was drafted as a project, but even it was halfway through his second year when he got put in. He had a lot of success for 2 or 3 years there in San Francisco before it flamed out. I can't really think of another one. It happens all the time. Teams draft these guys, say, oh, he's a project. But yeah, you're right. I can't really think of a time it's ended up being a big success.
Yeah, and that's the Colts are drafting a QB this year, and I'm just not. From what I'm reading, it seems like the quarterback class of this year is a lot like the one like last year. Like
There's
maybe
no studs, man. Like Bryce Young is like, he's a character guy, dude. He's not. I don't think he's the type that's going to overwhelm you with his physical attributes. He's a good person, dude. And sometimes that shit ain't enough in the NFL.
And it's funny because like people are sending me things like showing Derek Carr in a Colts jersey. And there's a part of me like, no way, we're drafting a quarterback. But then you read about the quarterbacks in the draft this year, and it's like, fuck, I don't know, man. Derek Carr seems like the better fucking option than like Will Levis we're not, because Bryce Young is going 1 to Houston. All indications show that. So we're stuck with the second QB, and it's like, do you use it the third draft pick on a project? Fuck no, you're going to get Zach Wilson if you do that. It's like, so what do you do, man?
Here's what's going to happen. The Colts are going to draft C.J. Stroud, and they're also going to hire Jim Harbaugh as their head coach.
I've seen the Harbaugh.
It's going to happen. I'm telling you, that's what they're going to do.
I think the Colts just need to grin and bear it until Arch Manning is ready to go to the pros, bro. It's fucking written in the stars, dude. Grin and bear it, stockpile draft picks, and then just fucking get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Arch Manning together on the Colts, man, and let the Super Bowl rings just shower from up above, dude.
Quick side note, as I read today, because they were showing the potential landing spots for Sean Payton. You know, whoever hires Sean Payton as their coach has to trade the Saints for him. And they're saying he's could potentially get a first-round pick in return. I'm definitely not for the Colts trading
Oh, no,
their first round pick for Sean Payton. That's dumb.
Once the Bucks beat the Cowboys in the first round, they're firing Mike McCarthy and they're trading their first round pick for Sean Payton.
Yeah, Jerry Jones
100%.
and Sean Payton have had a love affair for a long
it's gonna
time.
happen.
And the Cowboys are loaded enough right now with talent that they could sacrifice.
That's the thing. If you're like the Cowboys and you're loaded with talent and you want Sean Payton, I get it. A rebuilding team who's drafting in the top 5 is not trading their first round pick for Sean Payton. So I don't even want Sean Payton. Jim Harbaugh, though, give me Jim Harbaugh. Take him in a fucking heartbeat. All right. NFC. Eagles in the bye. Seahawks going to the Niners in the 7-2 game. Giants and the Vikings in the 6-3 game. And the Cowboys going to Tampa in the 5-4 game. Teams still in contention in the NFC for the final seed. Detroit at 8-8. Green Bay at 8-8. And Green Bay controls their own destiny. So we talked about that last week. So many things had to happen for Green Bay to have a chance, but now they actually control their own destiny. All they have to do is beat the Lions. So who sneaks in the 7th seed in the NFC?
Dude, I think Green Bay, man. Green Bay is fucking rocking and rolling, dude. Like, they've looked scary good the last few weeks, man. I told you, dude, it was the fucking curse, man. Ever since I went there, the Titans, all the mojo the Titans had the first 10 weeks just got transferred to Green Bay. Because they've been kicking ass, and I'd watch out for them in the playoffs, dude. Like, Aaron Rodgers has nothing to lose. It's no pressure on him. Remember, they were the last seed in the playoffs the year they won the Super Bowl in 2010. So I think they're getting in, and I'd probably put them as my number 2 team in the NFC behind the Packers right now, man. I mean, behind the 49ers.
I don't want Green Bay to get in, but I think they're going to get in. The problem is, dude, they're going to have to go to San Francisco round 1. And
that's going to be a hell of a fucking game, dude.
I still do believe that if the Eagles are completely healthy, they're the best team in the NFC.
But they're not healthy, though, man.
I mean, he's playing this week. The line is 14.5. Jalen Hurts is playing this week.
Is there any chance that Jimmy G's back for the playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters, dude. Freaking Brock Purdy is killing it right now. I don't know how you take him out the way he's playing. I mean, it'd be nice to have Jimmy G as an insurance policy, but Brock Purdy's doing awesome right now.
I have to take Green Bay over the Niners just because Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think
you
the
never
Niners
want to bet against Aaron Rodgers, dude. Even though he's had a lot of playoff flameouts, you're still like, if you're the fan of the opposing team, you're not feeling good about it when Aaron Rodgers is coming to town.
Exactly. It's a QB-driven league, and though even Aaron Rodgers hasn't been what he has been, they're still like, oh, it's fucking Aaron Rodgers. The Niners are playing with their 3rd stringer. Maybe they'll have Jimmy G in, but I just think the Packers could be a dangerous team. Or Aaron Rodgers could drop the ball again. No one knows the NFL. It's all a fucking crapshoot. But I'm going to go Packers to make the playoffs at least.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the NFC? All right. Well, we're going to do an abbreviated preview of this week, and we're just going to go over the games of teams in the playoffs. We don't need to worry about the whole fucking week. So we'll start with the NFC here. We got Philly going to the Giants.
The Giants have nothing to play for, so I'm going to assume that they're sitting players this week, and Philly gets the win.
Yeah, I don't think the Giants play anyone this week, honestly. Like, there's no point. They can't move up or down in seeding. So, yeah.
And they're not going to give a shit about helping the Cowboys out.
They definitely are not going to try to help the Cowboys. So, yeah, I think Eagles are going to run away with this game.
All right. We got the Niners versus the Cardinals.
I don't think the Niners have much to play for either.
Yeah,
so.
they do. The 2 seed to play for. They're going to play for it.
So that would give them home field advantage in the divisional round if they won. Yeah. Niners win then.
Yeah, Niners.
I'm going to go Niners, and I forgot to pick the last game. I'm also going to take
the Niners
Philly.
JV team might beat the Cardinals, honestly, even if they were setting people.
I mean, the Falcons just beat the Cardinals, so.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal in Arizona, and now they don't even know if Kyler Murray is the fucking future. Who knows? They're a train wreck, so we'll see how that goes. We got the Vikings going to Chicago.
Vikings probably handle their business and win this one, man. But I don't know. I could see Chicago they're making it their Super Bowl and going balls out and winning it.
Dude, the Vikings are gonna win, but holy shit, dude! Seth got all jacked up about Justin Fields a couple weeks ago. Let's talk about old Justin Fields here for a minute.
All right, let's
He had
do it.
105 yards rushing in the first quarter. The rest of the game rushing, he had 27 yards, and he went 7 for 21 for 75 yards.
Who's he throwing to? Look at the talent on that team. He has dog shit around him, dude.
It does not matter.
I think Justin Fields is a bad motherfucker, dude.
His life.
Look at some of the plays he makes.
He's gonna die on that team, dude.
You don't remember that meme earlier this year where it showed that picture of him against the Lions, and it's like 6 fucking Lions around him, and then it's like Justin Fields scored a touchdown on this play. Like,
I'm aware the dude's gonna fucking die on that team, though.
He might, yeah. The team's
every
horrible.
time Seth sees a young quarterback make one good play, he comes himself. He's like, "Oh my god, is he the future? Zach Wilson. Someone needs to pick this guy up."
I focus on the peak of what folks could be, man, not the not the floor, dude.
Hey,
so
players!
Like, holy shit, a 15-yard run. This guy's the next Joe Montana.
Dude, let's keep it real, dude. Justin Fields has been making some fucking incredible runs this year.
We shit on Seth, but players have gotten monumental, huge contracts on less.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Wilson's, I've heard, and I didn't see the throw. I keep hearing now that Zach Wilson's a bust. Everyone's like, he got drafted because his pro day. He made one throw on his pro day.
Yeah, he's rolled to his left and fired it like 65 yards downfield across his body, man.
Jamarcus Russell got drafted number 1 because he could throw a ball 80 yards from his knees. Look how well that worked out.
Look at Matt Flynn, dude. Matt Flynn for the Packers, that 2011, he threw for fucking 6 touchdowns in a meaningless Week 17 game against the Lions. He got like 3 contracts off of that one fucking game.
Matt Castle got like $70 million off of half a season.
Off going 11-5 with the most loaded roster ever constructed in the NFL.
I remember I was watching a Jamarcus Russell game, and one of the analysts, I don't know who it was, he's like, Jamarcus Russell just needs to learn about velocity. He needs to understand that not every throw you make has to be 100 miles per hour. And you watch the dude play, it'd be like a 5-yard slant. The dude's just like fastball. Like the dude had no concept of velocity at all. So anyway, where were we? What game were we just talking about? Minnesota, Chicago.
Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota.
Do we all go Vikings there?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Tampa Bay going to the Falcons.
I could see the Falcons winning, dude. I don't know.
Tampa Bay has nothing to play for. They're sitting people this week. The Falcons are favored, dude.
Tom Brady said he's playing, though, dude. And hey, here's the other thing. Here's what Brady's playing for. This motherfucker's been in the league over 20 years. He has never lost to the Atlanta Falcons, dude. You can't tell me that psycho is not fucking keeping up with that, dude.
Exactly, but if he doesn't play, he still hasn't lost.
I think they fucking win, man. You don't I think the Bucks win.
Dude, Vegas has been pretty good the past couple weeks. The line started at Falcons -6. It's 4.5 now, which still Falcons should not be favored by 4.5 over anyone right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
Bucks
Falcons.
Have looked like dog shit. I
don't think the Bucks are gonna play the whole game.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what they do in the playoffs, man. I could just as easily see them getting fucking rolled first playoff game like 40-3, or like see Brady somehow fucking willing that team to the Super Bowl, man.
I'm going to say Falcons because Brady says he's playing. What's going to happen is he's going to take a hit early in the game.
All right.
And Bowles is going to be like, you know what? You're out, bud. We're going to save you.
Well, don't worry. They'll save him with a roughing the passer. That's not roughing the passer.
Regardless, though, if he takes a hit early on or anything, I just think that they pull him. Because if they have nothing to play for, they can't move up or down. It does seem silly to fucking play him. So I'm going to go with the Falcons also. You convinced me, Jordan.
Glad.
All right, you're very convincing. You should go into sales, maybe like insurance or something.
He's always so measured. I feel like Jordan never really gets as emotional as like we do. Like he just stays like, keeps it right down the middle, man.
Yeah, there's times I get pretty emotional, like when you fucking start talking shit about shit I know you know nothing about. That's usually when I get pissed.
Like when JBONE called Matt Ryan a bust, that you just weren't having that.
But dude,
I like to text Jordan about the Nebraska game. I don't watch college. I watch like
no
3 college
idea
football
what
games
happened.
a year, and I'll just always like I'll find some random player on like Illinois who's like fucking up Nebraska, and I'll be like, dude, this guy's awesome, man.
Hey, quick side note: me and Hawk have been texting privately about NBA lately, and I have enjoyed our conversations. We've talked about Pacers and Cavs quite a bit lately.
Maybe we got an NBA podcast coming down the line. I got the league pass, bud.
Change the long balls to the 3 balls.
I love talking NBA, but that's a whole nother story. All right, we got the Cowboys going to Washington, the Commanders, and their stupid fucking new mascot.
Dude,
I didn't
how
see their new
is
mascot. What's the
Ron
new
Rivera
mascot?
not fired yet?
Yeah, I think starting Carson Wentz over Taylor Heineke. Is it Taylor Heineke or Tyler Heineke?
Taylor.
Taylor, okay, yeah. Heineke. I think it's I think that's a fireable offense in the middle of a playoff push. Like, obviously, Carson Wentz is better physically, but Heineke had that team behind him. Like, I just don't know how you fucking make that call, man. Like, and I've always been, like, I don't think Ron Rivera is, like, greatest coach ever, but I feel like he's a decent coach who generally gets the most out of his teams. But that was just a straight up just dog shit call, man. And I think it cost him the playoffs.
What about him after the game when they said, do you want to look back on this quarterback decision and wonder if it cost you the playoffs if you're eliminated after the 4 p.m. games? We can be eliminated?
I give him a pass on that, dude. Like, dude, Jordan, man, playing football, you know how emotionally draining that shit can be, dude. Like, sometimes you just fucking aren't even thinking straight, dude. I'm not gonna crucify him over that one because I think that was just a fucking afterthought after he made the decision to start Carson Wentz, man. Like, that's the one where he should really be getting flame sprayed.
Oh, who you picking?
I'm gonna go with Dallas because it looks like they're playing for they can still win the division if Philly loses and they win. So they're playing everyone. And Commanders, they weren't supposed to be good. So if they finish, you got to say Dallas is going to win, I think. So they're in 7-9-1. I don't think that's fucking terrible for a team that wasn't supposed to be good and who started Carson Wentz and Taylor, however the fuck you say his last name.
Heineken.
The problem is they are going to lose people this offseason because they're kind of up against it on the cap. So, like, their D-line is where they built that team to be so good. And it sounds like they're going to lose a couple of those guys. So,
yeah, you're right, though, Hawk. I think, like, in totality, I think, like, after, a month after the season's over, you could probably look back at the Commander season and call it a success. But I think it's just really frustrating for the fans, man, that, we had a chance to really go to the playoffs. And who knows, man, once you get in, fucking anything can happen. And they kind of pissed it away on Carson Wentz. And if Rivera ends up getting fired, man, we just need to really make a list of all the coaches that Carson Wentz has sent to the fucking firing squad.
It's true. I mean, because he's
had a part in a lot of
got fired this year, but the season last year had a lot to do with it. If
he was hanging by a thread after last season. Yeah.
And
got Doug Peterson fired in Philly.
He won a Super Bowl. He got Super Bowl coaches fired.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think this is clearly the last year we see Carson Wentz going into the season as a planned starter. He might step in as a backup and have to fill in for some people, but no more. No more teams are getting fooled by this guy, which is crazy because, man, I watched his 2017 highlights when the Colts got him, and I'm like, dude, God damn, this guy's great. And then he
would have won the MVP if he wouldn't have got hurt that year.
Some people just don't come back from an injury, man. He's one of them.
It's a mental thing. Yeah, you see it in his decision making. Like the dude does not make a decision anymore. Like he's just afraid. And anyway, Seattle at the Rams at Seattle.
Dude, I think the Rams win, man. Rams have been playing tough, dude. Like hats off to Sean McVay. I don't think anybody would have judged that team if they mailed it in and just fucking played out the string, but the Rams have been playing tough, man. And I think that Baker's playing for another contract. I think the Rams win this game.
Dude, can you imagine if the fucking Rams win and then the winner of Sunday night goes to the playoffs at that point? Because Detroit can only go to the playoffs if the Rams win. Yeah. So the Rams win that game Sunday night goes from like a 60% excitement level to about 150. Yeah.
Yeah,
Detroit is actually playing in a playoff game.
I think the NFL knew that when they're making the schedule because they could have put the Jags and Titans as that last game in the season because that's definitely a playoff game. But that's two smaller markets. Probably not going to get you the TV rating you want, man. So yeah, they probably know it's a high likelihood the Rams could pull this win off.
I don't think the Rams win. I think Seattle wins the game, but they probably win and still don't make the playoffs. But then you have the Lions going to Lambeau, and I think the Packers make the playoffs, so I obviously think they win this game.
Yeah, Packers win, man. I think the crowd's going to be fired up. Like you could tell that the crowd was electric for that game against Minnesota on Sunday. Like they were fired up. Like the team's playing with a ton of confidence. Yeah, I think the Packers win, and I don't think it's close.
Dude, if the Rams really win, I really want the Lions to win this game if the Rams win, but I just don't. I just don't think they can win. I think the Packers are just too hot right now.
Dude, if the Rams do win, I would pay good money to just be a fly on the wall and hear Dan Campbell's pregame speech to that team. You know, he's already cooking up some fucking fire right now, dude. He's going to have those guys ready to run through a fucking brick wall by the time the game starts, but I still don't think it's going to be enough, man. It's still the Lions.
It's true. I used to root for the Lions all the time, but then I got a friend who's a Lions fan, and he's one of those friends where like you like to see him disappointed. So I now it's like I used to root for the Lions because they never win, and now it's like I can't root for them. Now I secretly not secretly. I guess I just kind of like to see him lose now. So I'm Packers all the way. All right, we'll come to the AFC here. Chiefs going to your boy Josh McDaniels.
Chiefs
Vegas.
take care of business. They get the win.
Chiefs are winning and getting a first round bye.
Well, they're going to win, and then we'll see if they get the first round bye.
Well, Buffalo's going to lose, so it's going to be completely meaningless on Sunday. So,
all right, well, then that brings us to New England going to Buffalo. Jordan, what do you think of that game?
I mean, me and Seth already picked New England to win this game, so you can move past us.
And you're both wrong because Buffalo's going to win. I think they're going to play their asses off, and don't think Hamlin's going to suit up. I think he'll probably be on the injury report. All right, we got the Bengals going to the Ravens.
Jesus Christ.
Now, dude,
the fucking stream.
Hey, let's assume the best, dude. Imagine the Bills do fucking, they get fucked out of this. KC gets home field advantage. Imagine if the fucking AFC Championship, they fucking wheel Hamlin out before the game, bro. Fucking suited up, dude. I know I predicted the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. I always said the Bills are going to lose, dude. There won't be a fucking dry eye in the house, and the Bills will stomp the dog shit out of Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs if they can somehow make that happen, dude. If I'm writing the fucking Disney script right now, that's how it goes.
It's like Willy Wonka. Hamlin's all like comatose in a wheelchair, and then he stands up, does a cartwheel, and like gets flamboyant. He's like, "I'm here!" Makes the game-winning interception. It's a hero story.
Jordan, quit hiding your face. I see you laughing, dude.
All right, we'll go with I say Buffalo, you say New England. All right, we got the Ravens going to Cincy.
Dude, I don't know. I feel like Cincy's kind of fucked up now too, man. But as far as I know, Lamar Jackson's still out, so I think the Bengals win, man.
And I watched that Ravens game with Hundley, dude. He sucks.
He's horrible,
man.
Dude.
He's fucking terrible.
I'll go Bengals.
All right. Are you laughing at Hundley's game?
No.
Is it that funny? All right.
No.
All right, we got
that image of fucking Hamlin.
Shut the fuck up. Stop.
I'm back. It was all a ruse. All right. We got Jacksonville and Tennessee. We already discussed this. You guys are both going.
I'm going Jacksonville.
Oh, me and
y'all are going Jacksonville. I'm standing. Titans
you're
are going
pull it
off, man.
Titans. Me and
Titans can't win a game until you admit you're a fake fan.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. I think I got to return to Lambeau and like take a shot at
I think that's it.
Or something.
I'm going to enjoy this losing streak while it lasts. I hope it goes on forever.
You have to get pissed drunk at Lambeau Field and passed out in the bleachers. That's the only way.
But what's funny is I remember midseason, I'm like, Mike Vrabel's the best coach in the NFL. Like, he just makes something out of nothing. And now, after this season played out, and if he starts next season bad, like, he could be the next coach to be fired in season. That's how quick it goes. Like, Peterson won a Super Bowl, and then 2 years later, he's looking for a job. Like, the NFL is so fickle.
I think it'd have to get real bad, man. I think from reading because I stay up on like a lot of like the local Nashville media, seems like there was a real power struggle between him and the GM. Because Vrabel would publicly come out and said like AJ Brown's not getting traded as long as I'm here. And when the GM got fired, I think that was kind of Vrabel winning the power struggle and stuff. So I think he's good unless it just really takes a turn for the worse. There was just that roster just sucked, man. The way the roster was constructed, there was just no talent. So as soon as the injury started rolling in mid-season, there was just nobody to turn to.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, even if they finished 7-10, 8-9, I think they played above their roster strength, honestly.
Yeah.
We have the Chargers at the Broncos.
Chargers.
We already talked Ravens, Cincy. We already talked New England, Buffalo. Miami still has a chance, so Miami's going to the Jets. I don't know what help they need. I'm guessing they need New England to lose. That's it, New England to lose, which is possible.
Possible, but Miami's in free fall, man. It's kind of crazy because they were looking like a like a contender there mid-season after Tua made his first comeback from the concussions. But nah, I think the Jets win this game.
With who? Mike fucking White.
Mike fucking White, baby, Western Kentucky Hilltopper.
Yeah, I'll go Jets. Dude, Dolphins are the third. Tua's not playing. There's no way they're putting Tua out there.
He might not be back ever, dude.
Skylar Thompson starting quarterback for the Dolphins this week. Yeah,
you never want to have your hopes pinned on a guy named Skylar.
Bad news.
That's pretty much any fucking field, man.
I would say the Dolphins, more than any other team, are the kings of high expectations that are never met.
Yeah.
It just seems like every season it's like, oh, the Dolphins showed promise at the end of last season. This is their season. This is their season. This year, they looked unstoppable at the beginning of the year, and then they just flopped. Tua is not the guy because, like Seth said, the best ability is availability, and Tua doesn't have it. And, I mean, at some point, Tua the man has to be like, I don't want to be a vegetable my whole life, so I need to stop taking concussions. He's going to pull a luck and retire.
Dude's a god in Hawaii. He could go out to Hawaii and just do fucking insurance commercials and shit like that and live comfortably for the rest of his life, man.
His rookie deal, you could live comfortably the rest of your life.
Yeah, fucking rest that fucking coconut, brother.
But honestly, I think the early season success, I don't think it was Tua. I think Mike McDaniel's got a really good offense, and he's got fucking Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill as receivers, man. I think you could plug up any like above average QB in that offense, and they're going to put up numbers.
Yeah, and it's on Tua at this point. Like, I know you never want to put it on one person, but come on, dude. Look at your offense, and then sick. So I'm going to go with the Jets too, just because the Dolphins, they're pretty much becoming the Lions. They're never good. We have Pittsburgh still in it versus Cleveland. The Browns are coming to Heinz Field. How's Deshaun Watson looked? Has he looked good at all?
He had a couple of decent throws last week, but still not what he was.
Yeah, second half he was better, but I mean he was 9 for 18, 169 yards and 3 touchdowns.
It's trending up, but it's like that trending up, dude. He's on like a 2-degree glide slope, man. Like it's
it ain't.
I don't know if he's ever going to live up to that contract they gave him. I think Steelers win this game easy.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm going to go with the Steelers and old Tiny Hands Pickett sneaking in to my disdain. I fucking hate that guy. But I think that pretty much covers this. Jordan, did you make any bets then?
Yeah, I made a couple bets. Nothing big this week. I don't know why, man. It gets to the last couple of weeks of the season, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. I took the Lions. I took the Eagles, unfortunately. I took the Bucks. Niners, which did not hit. I took the Jaguars and Packers. That was all I took.
What ended up happening in your big money fantasy league?
Oh, man, that was a travesty and a half. So here, I'll go ahead and read you off my scores, and you can guess whether or not I won or lost. So my starters were Jalen Hurts because I didn't have another quarterback because Carr got benched.
Damn, there was no other quarterback available?
You can't do dropping ads in this league in the playoffs.
What kind of bullshit is that?
It's always been that way. There's only 14 dropping ads, and you have to use them before week 14's up. So always been the same way.
Say that again. You only have
14 dropping ads. So you have a dropping ad for every week of the season. You can use them however
you know how
I
roll. I burned through that in 2 weeks, dude.
I know you do. Justin Jefferson scored a mighty 1 point. Jalen Waddle got 5. Zeke got 7. Kamara got 4. Kelsey got 9. Godwin got 19. So I think you can guess how this ended. And
my fantasy league, it's depending on the Bengals game getting finished. So I guess the actual like apps and the fantasy football services are trying to figure out a solution themselves of how to handle it. So I've heard that
they already said all the games are final unless they play the Bills Cincinnati game. The games are final.
But as a commissioner, you could do different things. So I guess what is happening in my league, which I'm not in the game, is so they're taking the scores from this week that happened. And if you had a Bills or a Bengals player, you get to take their week 18 scores. And if they sat them, I think there's a solution if they were sitting in that week too, because a lot of teams are going to be sitting. But that seems like a pretty decent thing to do.
So
you get out of a bad situation.
The score in my fantasy league was 83-54. The worst part is he still had Josh Allen and T. Higgins left to go.
Oh, so you're
It's going to
fucked.
get worse.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I'm completely done in that league, but still a successful season. I got 8 times my money back, so all good.
Solid investment.
And it's never about the money. Like my leagues
no,
are
it's
big
about the
payoffs
money.
too. It's not about the money for me because I'm fucking balling. It's about the goddamn fucking bragging rights, and that's why this year sucked. Because normally this is the first year I've never made the play that I didn't make the playoffs in this league. I normally always could sneak in, but it was just so fucking terrible this season. This whole football season, I'm just glad it's coming to it. You know what? Someone dying on the field is actually the perfect ending to this season. It's like,
God,
you
stop.
figure this is how it's going to end after this season. I'm just shocked it wasn't a Colts player, really. I think that's it, guys.
I don't know how we can top that, dude.
Anything else to wrap up this week of the Longballs? Our best episode ever.
Quick plug for any wrestling fans out there that catch this feed. Subscribe to the Chick Foley Show. Me and Jordan are cooking up an all-timer of a Royal Rumble anthology episode, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Probably about a week and a half or so, we'll have it ready because we've been doing a ton of research for this. But
And to really wet your whistle, I'm gonna break some news here for Seth because he doesn't even know we're doing this yet. But me and Seth are gonna do a full Wrestle Kingdom breakdown in 2 days.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Is that where Omega is wrestling Will Ospreay or
Yeah,
something?
it's tonight. Well, it's in the morning. It starts at 2:00 in the morning Central Time.
Ufu
so.
Schmosh Moss fighting Hitomi Tanaka. Like, yeah, dude.
You're
No,
gonna do
there's
a live
a
watch
lot
along.
of good stuff on it. All
Yeah,
right,
I won't
well,
be watching that. Don't give a fuck. All right, fellas. Until next week, let's hope no one dies. See you later. I got to play. Oops, I don't want to end the broadcast. I got to play the outro here. Fuck. All right.